Now, President Trump's administration plans to slash funding provided by the National Institutes of Health. And last week, Tennessee Congressman Steve Cohen confirmed that research funding for St. Jude and the University of Tennessee Health Science Center has already been impacted by those cuts.
And Congressman Cohen generously has agreed to join Kim Clark and I today. And Congressman, Kim has the first question.
Congressman, welcome. Before we get to research funding for St. Jude, the Trump administration fired 300 Federal Aviation Administration employees over the weekend, just days after a fatal crash in Washington, D.C. that appears to expose understaffing at the agency. Congressman, as a ranking member of the Aviation Subcommittee, what are your thoughts about this latest move?
Well, it just makes no sense. Aviation's endangered in America. We've seen the crash, the first in 25 years, but a crash where something went wrong. It could have been in the air traffic controller's office. It could have been with the helicopter or the plane, but 67 people lost their lives in Washington, D.C., and then 10 lost their lives in Alaska when a plane there went down last week. And then today I just saw a plane in Toronto, which isn't affected by our system necessarily, it landed on its top, and people are injured. We need all the employees we can get. We were less than at full impact employment before these firings. These provisional employees or probationary employees were hired to fill those spots. They've been trained. Now they're being let loose. That means we're going to even more absences in the FAA, where we need the best people to make sure that our air flights are safe. And that will be dangerous to Memphis with FedEx, with our transportation and commercial aviation as well. We need everybody we can get, all hands on deck. And this is just wrong. And what's happened is Elon Musk is real smart about technology. He knows something about missiles, although the last one he had fizzled out and crashed. And he knows something about cars, although Tesla's not doing too well either. But neither here nor there. He doesn't know about government. All he knows is how to slash and burn, which he did with Twitter, and basically ruined a good social media company. And he's doing it with the federal government. And we're seeing these cuts in important places like the FAA. We saw him in the nuclear energy area, where he cut 1,000 people loose who were responsible for our nuclear weapons. And they can't find them now because they cut them out of their email capabilities. And this is dangerous to the country. And he's cut people at the Veterans Administration, and the VA hires a lot of veterans. And the idea that they're going to cut veterans and put them out of work and not provide services for them is wrong too. But they've done it everywhere. They're just cutting with a meat axe. If the guy's brilliant, he should use a scalpel. But there's not meat axe work to be done. And he's hurting America, the safety of America, the air quality, the water quality, and now the safety in the skies.
Congressman, if I could ask you please about the Trump administration's plans to slash funding at NIH, the National Institutes of Health. Obviously, this impacts St. Jude Children's Research Hospital that receives tens of millions of dollars in grants each year for research projects. How are you specifically pushing back against these kinds of cuts?
Well, we've written to the administration. We've written to, now we got the secretary. I haven't written to him yet. I guess he has some influence, Kennedy. And of course, I didn't think that was a good hire, and it wasn't a good hire, and I just hope it doesn't cost us lives. But I've always considered that the National Institutes of Health our Defense Department. I mean, I'm concerned about Russia. I'm concerned about China and North Korea, but the odds of one of us dying from something they do is very slim. The odds of us dying from cancer or heart disease, stroke, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, you name it, is very likely. And the National Institutes of Health is who's fighting to find cures to those illnesses or treatments for those diseases, and they are our Department of Defense. The first line of defense is keeping Americans alive, and to cut the National Institutes of Health and the CDC, that's wrong too. But the National Institutes of Health, Francis Collins was brilliant. He was there for years under both Trump and Biden. I don't know who they're putting in now, but he's gone. And it hurts the University of Tennessee Center for the Health Sciences. It hurts St. Jude. It'll hurt the University of Memphis. It hurt Vanderbilt and Nashville. Those are all important research facilities, and we need to find cures and find treatments. And that's the first charge any government has, I think, is to keep citizens alive and healthy. Second is to educate them. He's getting rid of the Department of Education. And the third is to try to find them a job. And we've been losing jobs in the last month or so, and we're going to lose more and more jobs with these tariffs. Okay, so we're off to a really awful start. I don't think Trump has any clue except he wants to get out there and meet all the other oligarchs and act big and tough.
All right, Congressman, on another front, Elon Musk, the unelected leader of the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, as you spoke of, now seeks access to the IRS system that features the personal information of all tax-paying Americans. Explain why critics are sounding the alarm about that.
Well, it's long time law has said that those records are private and confidential, and giving them to these people. We don't know who always got working for him. We know we had a 25-year-old kid who was a racist, who he fired and he hired back. He said he was racist before racist was cool. Racism's never been cool, son. He doesn't get it. But Vance, who's got an Indian wife and 2 half-Indian children, and his main thing that this guy said was Indian hate has to be emphasized. Indian hate. He wasn't talking about American Indians. And for Vance to say that that was okay and he should get back a job, he said, oh, he's a kid. You shouldn't ruin his life. He's 25 years old. His values are set. Somewhere they were distorted. And we've just got chaos going on in Washington. We've got an authoritarian autocrat trying to take over. He's letting Musk run the show. And Musk shouldn't have access to our RS records. Those should be private. They always have been private. We don't know what Musk and his little Harvard or Stanford educated children, young people, will do with those records. They should not have any access to them, and they should be considered sacrosanct and off limits. They were certainly off limits when we tried to see Donald Trump's tax returns and found out he didn't pay anything. But he didn't pay his tax returns and didn't let anybody see them when every president for years, I think it goes back to before Nixon, have released their tax returns. And Trump said he would because when he was not under audit anymore, then he wasn't under audit and he had found another excuse. We've got liars and damn liars in Washington now, in the White House.
Well, Congressman, thank you so much for taking a moment with us today here on A Better Memphis, a new broadcast here on WMC, which we know you've watched all your life, that is an effort and aspires to do something to improve our community. So thank you for being our guest today.
You're welcome, Joe. Good luck. And anything that's a Better Memphis and have Joe Birch involved. Holly, but now it's Joe Birch.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's Kim Clark is an awful big asset too, Congressman. So.
She is. Kim Clark's a great asset, and Channel 5's always had the best. And Mason Granger took Kim Henry away. Kim Clark, you stay here.
All right.
Much
Thank
appreciated,
you,
sir. All right.
You're welcome.
Well.